Hi guys, how you doing? Going to talk today about Bible and AI and transhumanism and what it's going to mean for the religious folk. It's my prediction that religion is going to change more and more. Its interpretation is going to change more and more with the advent of AI coming in, because AI is going to give different interpretations to things. In the past, without technology, we've looked at the Bible through a certain set of eyes. So for instance, it says, go forth and multiply. But what does that mean? Does that mean go forth and multiply naturally? Or does it mean go forth and multiply in any way that you want? And you might say, well, God's way is the natural way. But if technology is also part of God, then technology is also natural. So which way is which? And we're going to start having a lot of issues, I think, with this. I think that we're going to have a new type of religion that comes out which incorporates technology into it. So for instance, God could be seen as something technological. If we live in a matrix and the matrix decides things, then the matrix is technological, right? So therefore, if what we think is this world is all invented by God, but really it's invented by a machine, then, is God half machine, half God? Or does God express himself through a machine? And if he was to express himself through a machine, and we are to praise that expression of him, so we're praising God, but we're sort of going through a machine to get to God, then, could we not use also machines in order to carry out what God's good work is? I mean, obviously, if you wish to talk about God and express the good news, and you do it through iPhones and telephones and television and radio, you're using God to express God's work. So if God asks you to go and multiply and you use artificial insemination, or you use robotics or fake wombs or outside wombs or external wombs or machine wombs, then surely you're just carrying on an evolution of the idea that God set forth and into motion by the Big Bang or something like that. So there's going to be arguments going on both sides, back and forth, of what God is and what God wants. But you're only going to have these conversations when AI and technology comes along. So in a good way, technology and AI are going to open up conversations on what God is, what God wants, what is a human, what is a man, what is right, what is wrong. But it's also going to cause division. And this is the other thing. So what I'm going to say is this is my prediction, that the religious people are going to be fractured. They're going to go towards one way and go towards another. So the people, and I think they're going to become more fundamental as well. No one's going to want to sort of stay in the middle, because the middle's just not, if you need, in order to get through the future society, you've got to have a chip in your head. And you being in the middle means that you sort of think it's okay to have a chip, but you don't have it. Then you're going to sort of suffer, and you're not going to be in either camp, nor get the benefits of either camp, and probably get, harassed by both camps. So I think it's going to become fractured. And as we know, as we see the world going at the moment, it is becoming more and more fractured. We've gone from a whole globe into having North America, Latin America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Arabia, Australasian, Pacific, and these places are getting sort of solidified with boundaries, and they're things that we didn't have in the past. Then we've got different races which we never thought about. If you go back to Roman times, I don't think they actually had racism. They didn't really care if you were black. Racism is actually something modern that's come along. Racism in days of age wasn't there. There was sexism, but I don't think racism. So these new things. Then in the past, did we have transgenderism? Well, if you go back to ancient India, did we have it? The Greeks, did we have it? No, but now we have. Now we've got, I'm a man that thinks I'm a pelican, that wants to be a woman. And then, we've got all of these other sort of gender fluid things. And so who you are is being categorized and broken down into tiny, smaller and smaller and smaller bits. So religion will be the same thing. You'll be a Christian but a techno-Christian, or you'll be a Christian but a fundamentally Christian, or you'll be a Christian but a natural Christian. So we're going to have more of these strange aspects of the idea of God sort of coming along and turning up. And so when you have something, as I said at the beginning, go forth and multiply, what does that actually mean? I mean, if the sperm count goes down and people can't have children and everyone's infertile, but God says go forth and multiply, surely then you can use technology in order to do it. Because if humans are part of God's plan, then surely we should keep that plan going, because that's what we are guardians of the planet for. We are here to represent God. We are here to do what we want with the world, as it says in some religious texts, right? So my prediction is that people and religions are going to have to explore. Religions are going to have to explore technology, and they're going to have to bring technology into God, into religion. Is God technological? Does God use technologies? If we understand more and more that we live in a, what is it that we live in a simulation, and God has put us in a simulation, then surely we have to take into account technology as part of the calculation to understand theology and religious philosophy of what it is that God wants from us, because God has used technology. So there's going to be all sorts of questions which come out, and I think that we're going to understand more and more about the world. We're going to understand more and more about the world as the technology takes off more and more. Because if you wanted to understand the world in ancient times, right? If you want to understand the world in ancient times, it was the sort of the flat Earth, wasn't it? It was sort of like, there's sort of flat Earth. And then if you look at other places, they've got like a tree or something, and then underground, they've got a weird cosmovision of the world. And then you get Newton coming along, and he understands everything through a clock, right? The world is like a clock. And then you get mechanics coming along, and the world is mechanical. And then you get computers coming along, and the world is computerized. And so through the technology that we invent, it gives us language and an ability to express the world that we live in. And now we're coming up to quantum physics, and we're coming up to AI. We're going to be using these ideologies and these concepts in order to further our own understanding about the world that we live in. Thanks very much.